Okay, let's work on a Backsolve drill. For this drill, I have Desmos open on the right-hand side, which is the calculator you'll have on test day. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up the little bottom right here, and let's get started. So our first question says, if x plus 10 over 12 equals 8 over 3, then x equals, so we're solving for x, which means the answer choices represent x. X is either 22, 54, 66, or 96. So let's start in the middle. I'll start with 54 here. We could have started with 66 as well. Pop it back in and see if it works. See if we can make the left-hand side equal 8 over 3. So instead of x, I'm going to put in 54. So I'll have 54 plus 10 over 12 equals 8 over 3. So that will mean 64 over 12 equals 8 over 3. Now I have some options. I can reduce the left-hand side by 4. I can divide the top by 4. Divide the top by 4 and divide the bottom by 4 and see if I get 8 over 3. So that would be 64 divided by 4. Well, that gives me, oopsies, type that in better. 64 divided by 4 gives us 16, so that'll be 16 in the numerator. And 12, oopsies, that's me again. Oops, boop, 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 boop. 12 divided by 4, that gives us 3. So 16 over 3, is that the same as 8 over 3? No, and tell me, is it too big or too small? Well, 16 over 3 is more than 8 over 3, so that's probably going to be too big. So let's get rid of all these guys. And what we can do is kind of just erase what we've done and try again, except for now I'm going to fill that spot that had the 54 in it. I'm going to fill it with a 22. So now what we have is 32 over 12, whoopsies, 32 over 12 equals 8 over 3. Now I'm going to try a different way of testing this one out. I'm going to punch 8 over 3 into my calculator, and it gives me this decimal, 2.66, for a long time, probably repeating forever. Let's see if I punch in 32 over 12, if that gives me the same thing. 32 divided by 12, does it give me the same decimal? It does, so now I know that's the right one. So again, that if I didn't feel like reducing, that would be another way to kind of punch it out on my calculator and get it as a decimal. All right, let's see our next problem. The next problem says, if the average of 2 and p is equal to the average of 1 and 6 and p, what is the value of p? So we're looking for the value of p, which means p could either be 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, as the answer choices say. So let's try it out. Now, the way I take the average of something is I add it all together, add all the numbers I'm taking the average of together, and divide it by the number of terms that I added together, the number of numbers I added together. So here I have the average of 2 and p. But let's go ahead and immediately start to backsolve, putting an answer choice in for p. So let's start with c this time. Let's start with 7. So p is going to be 7 for the moment, and let's test it out. So I'm going to put a little 7 in here for my p. Okay. So this is the average now of 2 and 7, so which means I would add them together and divide by the number of terms I have. I have 2 terms here. So I'll divide by 2 is equal to the average of 1 and 6 and 7. So this, I have to add 1 and 6 and 7 together. And this time I'm going to divide by 3 because I have 1, 2, 3 terms here. So I'll divide by 3. So let's go ahead and punch this out on our calculator and see if this works. Because I have 2 terms in the numerator, I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses around it so I can go ahead and take that and divide it by 2. And it gives me 4.5. Now for the next one, I'm going to grab my calculator. And again, you could do this by hand, sure, but if you didn't feel like doing it by hand, we could do it in our calculator. So little parentheses, divide that by 3. A lot of people will mix that up and divide by 2 again. So just make sure if you have 3 things, you divide it by 3. Now those don't look like the same number to me, so let's cross that out. Now, I think it's really hard in this problem to tell whether you should go bigger or smaller. So let's just pick a direction and go. Let's go bigger. I'm going to get rid of these guys. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep my same setup because all that's changing is my p. Now, my p is going to be 8. So let's try that. Let's put an 8 in for p. So the average of 2 and this time it's 8 is equal to 1 and 6 and 8. So I'm swapping out my little 7s for 8s, and let's give this a shot. Well, 2 plus 8, 2 plus 8. I'm going to add my parentheses in there and divide that by 2. Well, that gives me 5. And then on the other side, I have 1 and 6 and 8. Add my parentheses in and divide that by 3. Oh, well, that one gives me 5 as well. So it looks like I found my right answer. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Alan is reviewing his receipts from 3 different visits to a spa, trying to determine the individual costs of his favorite spa treatments. From his receipts, he knows a manicure and a back rub together cost $18. A back rub and a facial together cost $19. A manicure and a facial together cost $21. What is the cost of the back rub? So we want to know the cost of the back rub, which means the back rub could be 8 or 9 or 10 or 11. So let's start in the middle. Let's start with 9. 9 is the cost of the back rub. So if I know the back rub is 9, I'll ask myself, what else can I know? Well, if I know the manicure and the facial together, these two together have to cost 18. If I know the back rub is 9, this has to be the rest of the 18. So if I do 18 minus 9, well, that gives me 9. So I know my manicure is 9. Now, if my back rub is 9 and my facial, along with it is 19, I know that I'll have to have a $10 facial to go with my $9 back rub to make it total out to 19. Now, we'll remember the manicure was 9 and the facial was 10. Together, they're supposed to be 21. Does that work out? Well, no, because if I add 9 and 10 together, it gives me 19, not 21. That's too small, but that doesn't necessarily mean my back rub is too small, right? The bigger my back rub gets, the smaller my manicure gets, and the smaller my manicure gets, the smaller my total here gets. So, actually for this one, I think I want to go smaller with my back rub. But again, I'm going to try it out, and if it doesn't work, then I know I went in the wrong direction. But let's try it. Let's put 8 for the back rub. My back rub is 8. Then my manicure must be 10 in order to make it add up to 18. And again, if my back rub is 8, my facial must be 11 to get it to add up to 19. Now again, if my manicure is 10 and my facial's 11, do these guys add together to be 21? They do. So we know that I found the right answer here. All right, let's look at another one. Number 14 says, if x plus 4 squared equals 49 and x is less than 0 or negative, what is the value of x? So again, we're looking for the value of x, and we're going to start in the middle. We're going to put it back in. Well, right away, if I know that x is negative, I can get rid of my positive answer. So I'm going to get rid of that one just for fun. But let's try this -3. Okay, let's put a -3 in for our x. I'm making myself a little template here, so if I need to reuse it for another answer choice, I can. But let's put this -3 in for x. So if I punch this into my calculator just like this, again, I'm loving the idea that I don't have to do math. I can just kind of pop this into my calculator, close the parentheses and square it. Well, that gives me 1, not 49, so I know that's not my answer. Now, I know not to go the other direction because we want something negative, so let's swap this out for -11. I'm going to get rid of that, make it -11. I'm just going to try that again. Grab my calculator, -11 plus 4, close parentheses and square it. Oh, I get 49, so that must be my answer. Now this next one says the product of 4 consecutive odd integers is 9. So those 4 integers, 4 numbers with no fractions or decimals, product means multiply. And they're consecutive and odd, which means one right after each other, and each of these numbers is not divisible by 2, they're odd, yes? We do that, it has to equal 9. Now, what is the least of these integers, the smallest of these integers, so the one that would go right here? Well, let's start in the middle. Let's start with 1. So if that's 1, the next consecutive odd integer would be 3. The next one after that would be 5, and then 7. Now if I grab my calculator and I do 1 times 3 times 5 times 7, oh, that's way too big. So not only can I eliminate 1, I can also eliminate 3 and 5. So let's try that with our next answer choice. Let's put in -3, -3, then -2, that's even. The next one is -1, then 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. Let's see what happens when I multiply these guys together. -3 times -1 times 1 times 3. I do get 9, so that's my answer. All right, let's look at the next one. Erica had a stack of firewood on Monday. On Tuesday, she used half the logs, and on Wednesday, she used 110 logs, leaving Erica with 1/3 of her original supply. What we're looking for? How many logs of firewood did Erica have on Monday? Okay, well, let's start in the middle. Let's pretend she had 570 logs on Monday. Well, on Tuesday, she used half of them. So let's see, what would half of 570 be? 570 divided by 2, or times 1/2, give us the same sort of thing. Oopsies. 570 divided by 2. Oh, I keep doing that. There we go. 285 is what's left after she used half. And then on Wednesday, she used 110 of the logs. So on Wednesday, I'm going to take away 110. I'm just going to do that number that I had before, 285, and I'm going to subtract 110, and it's going to give me 170. And they're saying that that right here should be 1/3 of her original supply. So you know what? Let me find our original supply of 570, and I'm going to multiply that by 1/3. Now tell me, 1/3 of 570, well, that's 190, not 175. I mean, another way I can do this also would be to say, I can multiply it by 3 enough and I get the original amount, we're good to go. So again, no, it's too small. So let's see, I can get rid of this guy. It's really hard to tell whether I should go bigger or smaller, so I'm just gonna pick a direction and go. So let's try next time, let's try 660. So let's get rid of this here. Monday is 660. If we use half the logs, Tuesday would be half of 660, which would be 330. And then if I subtract 110 from that, I'll get 220. Now, if I take 660 and divide it by 3 and I get 220, I know that 220 is 1/3 of my original supply, and indeed it is. So we can say that this is our answer because it works with our problem. All right, let's try the next one. This is very classic. You'll see this a lot on the SAT. Vladimir sold 18 books on Monday. Let's go ahead and extract the information. 18 books on Monday. He sold paperback books for $7.50 each and hardcover books for $15 each. He made a total of $210. How many paperback books did he sell? Well, because this is Backsolve, I know he either sold 11 or 10 or 9 or 8 paperbacks. So let's start in the middle. Let's start with 9. 9 paperback books. I'm going to put in 9 for the number of paperback books. So I know if I sold 18 books total and I did 9 paperback books, I also had 9 hardcover books because 9 and 9 make up my total of 18. Now, I want to see if this works with my total that I was given. So let's go ahead and find out how much we made on the paperback books. So let's multiply 9 times 750 to see how much we made on these paperback books. 750 times 9, that gives us $67.50. And then let's also do 15 times 9, 15 times 9, that's going to give us 135. Now, if I add 135, oopsies, 135, if I add 67.50 to 135, I get 202.50. Well, that's not what I wanted, so that's probably not my answer. All right, let's get rid of everything that's going to change and try again. Let's try with 8. Okay, I'm going to put 8 in for my number of paperback books. And if I have 8 paperback books and 18 books total, that means I have 10 hardcover books. Let's multiply and see how much we made. Well, if we have 750 times 8, that's going to give me 60. And if I have 15 times 10, you might know that that would give us 150. And when we add those together, oh my goodness, we get 210, exactly like we should. So now we know that is the right answer for our paperback books. Let's take a look at this guy. It says the sum, adding of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive integers is 55 equals 55. What is the median of the set A, B, C, D, E? The median begs the question, what's a median? The median is the number in the middle when the numbers are listed in order. So it would be this guy if the numbers are listed in order. Yes? So these are 5 consecutive integers. The median is the one in the middle. So let's start in the middle of our answer choices and put that in 11 for the one in the middle. Now, if they're consecutive integers, then I know they're one right after the other. So the one before 11 will be 10, and the one before 10 will be 9. The one after 11 will be 12, and the one after 12 will be 13. So let's go ahead and give this a little add up and see if it adds up to be 55. We'll do our numbers here, 9 plus 10 plus 11 plus 12 plus 13. Well, it looks like that worked out perfectly, so I guess that's our answer. Let's try number 26 here. Marion brought some biscuits to a tea party. If everyone at the party takes 5 biscuits, so all the people at the party take 5 biscuits, so everybody's gonna take 5, there will be 10 remaining. If 4 people do not take any, so 4 people do not take any, and everyone else takes 8, there will be none remaining. So, how many biscuits did Marion bring to the party? Now, you might be thinking, Donna, I would never extract the information that way. That's totally fine. There's no right way to do that. You just want to organize it in a way that makes sense to you. So, let's go ahead and back solve. Okay, we're going to start with 80 biscuits. Let's start with 80 biscuits. So if I have 80 biscuits, and everybody takes 5, there'll be 10 remaining. Now, if there's 10 remaining, that means 70 biscuits got taken, and they got taken 5 at a time. So they got divided up 5 and 5 and 5 and 5, and guess what? This will give me 14. 14 what? 14 people at the party. Now, if there's 14 people at the party, the next bit says 4 people do not take any. So really only 10 people are taking. And if 10 people are taking 8, a total of 80 biscuits will be taken and there'll be none remaining. Because we started with 80 biscuits. So it looks like this is our right answer. Now let's take a look at one last problem for this back solve. It took Adam 6 hours to canoe upstream from his campsite to the lake and back again. So we're going from the campsite to the lake and back again. And that whole trip, I'll put it in here in a puffy cloud to represent the whole trip, took 6 hours. While paddling upstream, he averaged 2 miles per hour. And while paddling back, he averaged 4 miles per hour. How many miles was it from his campsite to the lake? We want to know how many miles was it from his campsite to the lake. So, look, we have a list of numbers in the answer choices. That distance in red there is either 4 or 8 or 10 or 12. So let's start in the middle and pop it back in. Let's go with 10. Say it was 10 miles from the campsite to the lake. If I'm going 10 miles at 2 miles an hour, the first hour I'll go 2 miles, second hour I'll go 2 miles, then 2 miles. How long is it going to take me to go going 2 miles each hour to go 10 miles? Well, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. How many hours is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. 5 hours to get there. And again, if you want to use the formula for that, we would use distance equals rate times time. And if our distance is 10 and our rate is 2, we divide by 2, we get that our time is 5 hours to get there. Now coming back, we're going 10 miles at 4 miles an hour. That means every hour I go 4. So in 1 hour I go 4, in another hour I go 8, In another hour, I go 12. Oops, that's too far. Probably only need half of that hour. So really 2.5 hours to get back. And again, 2.5 hours to get back. Again, if we're going to use our formula here, our distance is still 10, but our rate this time is 4 miles an hour. If I divide both sides by 4, I get that t equals 5/2, or 2.5. So if I look at my total time here, it looks like to get there and back, it took me 7.5 hours, not the 6 that I wanted. What do we think that means? That the distance was too far or too short? Well, if it's taking too long, it was too far. So we can get rid of 10 and 12. And now we'll try 8. So let's get rid of everything that's going to change. And let's put, boop, boop. Let's put, as our distance, let's put 8. So if I'm going 8 miles at 2 miles an hour, I'll go 2 miles, 4 miles, 6 miles, 8 miles. Well, that's going to take 4 hours to get there. 4 hours to get there. Or if I'm doing distance equals rate times time, it's 8 equals 2t, so t equals 4. And on the way back, I'm going 8 miles at 4 miles an hour, which means I'm going to go 4 miles and then another 4 miles. That's a total of 8 miles. That'll take me 2 hours. Or again, with distance equals rate times time at 8 equals 4t, and we'll find out that t equals 2. Now, if I put that total time here together, 4 plus 2, that is 6. It worked out perfectly. So this is our answer. So let's pause here for the moment. I'm going to have on our next video a bunch of SAT problems with plug-in and Backsolve, so you can work through those with me.